Video Vacations takes great pleasure in bringing you the best of Peru. Come with us to the ruins of ancient temples, travel high into the Peruvian Andes, meet people of another world, feel the tranquility and mystery of legendary Machu Picchu. Our journey begins in Lima, the capital city of Peru. From here, air and overland connections can bring you to every one of Peru's best vacation destinations. But before you set out on your travels, take advantage of the best that Lima itself has to offer. Lima is a city of great contrast. One moment you can find yourself enjoying the spectacular view of sea and sky from this city set right on the Pacific Ocean. And the next moment, you can be in the heart of this bustling city of nearly 6 million people. Lima is modern, cosmopolitan, and at the same time, deeply rooted in the history of two cultures. Lima's Spanish heritage dates back to the 15th century and is reflected throughout the city. From the changing of the guard at the President's Palace to impressive plazas like this one, the famous Plaza San Martin. Almost everywhere you look in Lima, you can see the splendor of Spanish architecture. Many former private homes, including the 17th century Torre Tagle Palace, have been maintained in perfect condition and are often open to the public. The beauty of the churches of Lima will take you back to the grandeur of another era. Be sure to visit the Church of San Francisco, built in the 1600s, and the magnificent 18th century Church of San Pedro. The other culture that you'll see reflected throughout Lima is in the faces of the Quechua people, descendants of the vanished civilizations that date back thousands of years. During your visit to Lima, you'll be able to shop in modern department stores as well as colorful sidewalk stands. You can find handmade crafts from all of Peru at El Suche, a quaint shopping area in the suburb of Miraflores. There's first-class dining in many of Lima's restaurants. Restaurants like the beautiful Rosa Nautica, elegantly perched right on the ocean. The Pabellon de Casa restaurant is by far one of the most luxurious dining places in Lima. The meals in some of the hotels in Lima are also very special. You'll enjoy dining in the restaurant of the Jose Antonio Hotel. In fact, the Jose Antonio is one of the best hotels to stay at during your visit. From one end of Lima to the other, you'll find hotel accommodations with all the comforts of home. Different cultures, the old and the new. This city of contrast is an exciting beginning for a remarkable Peruvian holiday. Just south of Lima is a land that has buried thousands of years of achievements made by many important cultures that once lived here. But every so often, the desert sands are scraped away, and you'll be able to see some of the greatness that was once here. At Pachacamac, the Temple of the Sun, you can look out at the Pacific Ocean and feel the warm breezes that touched faces of people who stood exactly where you're standing, more than 2,000 years ago. Long before the beginnings of Christianity, Pachacamac was an important religious center to the ancient Peruvians. Nearby, the ruins of the Inca temple of Mamacunas, built in the 14th century, stand as testimony to the skills of master builders. Farther south, the best of Peru continues through the desert, past the ancient mineral lake oasis at Huacachina, and then to Paracas, where more than 3,000 years ago, the ancient people of the coastal deserts buried their dead, along with beautiful tapestries and ceramic pottery. As a modern traveler, you can set out across the Bay of Paracas for a close-up look at imprints made in the dunes. by unknown hands so long ago. In this land, where it hasn't rained in perhaps 3,000 years, you'll see mysterious and beautiful markings that look as fresh today as they probably did when they were first made. The Ballestas Islands are a national nature preserve, a great menagerie of seals and spectacular birds, from booby birds to very large pelicans. Even an occasional penguin lives in these sparkling clear waters and magnificent ocean caves. Continuing farther south is the Valley of Ica. Grapes grow abundantly in this, the wine country of Peru. Although wine is only produced for local consumption, Peru bottles some fine vintages. You'll find the Las Dunas Resort in the Ica Valley is a mecca of luxury in a desert oasis setting. At the Archaeology Museum in Ica, a large collection reflects much of the history of the south coastal area. Well-preserved mummies are a vivid explanation of how the people in Paracas buried their dead. Even though the earliest civilizations of Peru had no written language, they devised this system of knotted strings called quipus to record mathematical information. And there is beautiful pottery made by their ancient people. Continuing southeast from Ica to the Valley of Nazca, the dry sand dunes are now 5,000 feet above sea level. But the desert of the area of Nazca is not completely barren. The same ancient people who skillfully created pottery also made giant line drawings in the sand, drawings that can only be seen from high in the air. Small planes run regularly from airports at Ica and Nazca. One of the best vacation destinations is Peru's second largest city, Arequipa. It's nestled in a lush valley at the foot of the snow-capped El Misti volcano. Most of Arequipa's splendid architecture, including the beautiful Church de la Compañía in the heart of the Plaza de Armas, was built with local volcanic stone called sillar. Because of the light color of the stone, Arequipa is also known as the White City. Both the hotel accommodations and excellent dining are always a delight to visitors. Be sure to visit Santa Catalina Convent, where, beginning in the 16th century, hundreds of nuns lived in complete seclusion from the outside world, right next to one of the most beautiful valleys in all of Peru. The city of Cuzco is one of the oldest cities in the Western Hemisphere. It was once the center of the Inca Empire until the 15th century and the invasion by Spanish conquistadors. Today, Cuzco is a living monument of a distant past. As you walk the narrow streets, you feel as though time has stood still. You can take home unique souvenirs and enjoy a feast of Peruvian cuisine and discover for yourself the magnificent ruins of the Inca civilization, which in this city you'll find all around you. If you're in the mood for some adventure, one of the best and most invigorating experiences you can have is rafting in the Urubamba River, which runs through the sacred valley of the Incas. A train ride will take you from Cuzco to Machu Picchu. Probably nothing will prepare you for this awe-inspiring sight. Dramatic, isolated, mysterious. This lost city of the Incas was completely hidden from view until discovered by Yale University professor Hiram Bingham in 1911. Even today, no one really knows why the Incas built this magnificent place. Perhaps it was a fortress, or it might have been a religious sanctuary. Machu Picchu was inhabited mostly by women, but it could have been built as a hiding place in a desperate attempt to escape from the Spanish. Whatever the purpose for its creation, Machu Picchu is without doubt one of the most interesting sights to see in all the world. From Machu Picchu, one of the best travel destinations is the city of Puno. Located 12,500 feet above sea level, Puno is right on Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world, where legend tells us the mighty Inca civilization was born. Right outside Puno, tourists can visit the people of the floating islands of the Uros on Lake Titicaca. The Uros rarely leave their small islands. Their way of life has remained relatively unchanged for centuries, making a visit to this area an unforgettable experience. Some of the many reasons that Video Vacations has included Puno as one of the best travel destinations in Peru are the unique traditions that you'll discover here. One of the most spectacular sights is the wonderful folk dancing. You'll also find great beauty and mystery in the people themselves, in this land of endless magic. North of Puno, toward the mouth of the Amazon River, is the Peruvian jungle in the vicinity of the city of Iquitos. Here, you'll also find a way of life that has almost disappeared from our modern world. The Indians of Iquitos have been in this area of the jungle longer than recorded time. There are several different tribes living today in the jungle around Iquitos. These are the Yagua Indians. The Yaguas are the largest tribe in the Peruvian Amazon. Their fame as blowgun hunters is known throughout the vast jungle. Centuries ago, headhunters lived all through these dark waters. Today, visitors can relax knowing that the natives here live as they always have, with the one important exception that they now live in peace with their neighbors. At Iquitos, you can set out on expeditions and enjoy nature walks through the jungle. The Indians here make many crafts that you'll want to take home with you, but they don't use money. And if you want one of their blowguns, you'll need to have something to trade for it. As you travel through Peru, you'll have many different choices of restaurants, hotels, and places to go. In order to be completely confident that you make all of the right vacation choices, be sure to contact CBS Tours, Peru's foremost tour operator with representatives throughout the world. Located right in the heart of Lima, the CBS staff includes highly trained men and women who are expert in every aspect of helping you make travel arrangements, including multilingual guides who can personally escort you to the best of Peru for the vacation of a lifetime. Video Vacations and Aero Peru have enjoyed showing you the best of Peru, a land that's rich in its heritage of different cultures, a land of beauty, mystery, a special place that you'll always remember, long after you've come back home.
Thousands of years ago, the ancient people of the coastal deserts of Peru, between the Pacific Ocean and the Andes, faced the almost impossible challenge of making a life for themselves out of this land. Surrounded by the enormous expanse of Peruvian desert, a land that can barely sustain life, they learned to cultivate the river valleys. Through the haze and the mist of valleys such as this, many powerful cultures were born, great civilizations that followed one after the other for more than 2,500 years. The ancient cultures thrived and prospered. They knew times of both peace and war. Without a written language, without even knowledge of the wheel, they mastered their environment. They built irrigation systems and bridges, buildings and great fortress walls. Their complex and ingenious methods remain mysteries that continue to amaze modern science. The ancient Peruvians were engineers and inventors, architects, mathematicians, and artists. To the east of the coastal desert, in the highlands of Peru, the people known as the Incas grew into a vast empire and sought to bring all the other kingdoms under their rule. During the 1400s, Inca warriors began to leave their mountains to conquer parts of Ecuador, Chile, and all of Peru, including the area of the coastal desert. Then, in 1532, after nearly 100 years of Inca rule, the nation fell under the sword of warriors who were even more powerful, more cunning, and more skilled in battle. The Spanish conquistadors came to steal gold and silver. In the process, they devastated almost everyone and everything in their path, leaving us many unanswered questions about their victims. Much of the history of Peru before the Spanish invasion remains a mystery to us, yet sometimes we find answers. For example, these broken pieces of pottery. To the untrained eye, they might not have much meaning, but the discovery of even small fragments such as these are important clues to the mysteries of vanished civilizations. This pottery was found in the deserts and valleys of Nazca, along the southern coast of Peru. By examining it carefully, it can tell us about the history of a people, of an ancient culture that first appeared around 200 BC. The Nazca culture existed for only about 800 years, and then vanished from the face of the earth, drawn into the culture of conquerors from the highlands. By studying and interpreting their pottery, we can get some understanding about what the Nazca people were like, how they lived, what they believed in, and what they hoped for in their lives. It tells us that the ancient Nazcas believed in mythical creatures as gods, gods that were usually associated with agriculture. Many are shown with gold face masks. Many were depicted as supernatural beings in human form, as well as birds, animals, and fish. The Nazcas took the heads of their enemies and showcased their triumphs in trophy heads painted on their pottery. When an ancient Nazca potter went out into his world, the skies were filled with many types of birds. He fished in the Pacific Ocean and lived in a society that depended on highly developed agricultural skills. All of what he depicted on his pottery was important in his life. Nazca pottery is famous for its unique style, for its use of brilliant colors and design and beauty. Almost all of the surviving pieces have been discovered in ancient graves where, according to Nazca custom, they were carefully buried along with their dead. In fact, the reason that many of these beautiful vessels have survived for more than 1,000 years is because they were created as ritual pieces for the dead. One of the rarest and most welcome discoveries when studying an ancient culture is to find a living descendant carrying on the tradition of his ancestors. Andres Benevideo is doing just that. In his small workshop in Nazca, Peru, he creates pottery using the methods of his ancestors, methods passed down to him from generation to generation. Andres Benevideo begins his pottery as his ancestors did, with 2 types of clay. According to the old customs, Andres digs this clay from locations that still remain a secret. Nazca clay is fine in texture, and to give added strength to the pottery, he combines it with another coarser clay that he finds high in the mountain plains. The excess moisture from both clays is absorbed into this porous container. When the combined clays are ready for shaping, he forms a small slab which will become the bottom of a ceramic pot and presses it into a small hollow container. The container, which is often a gourd, can be rotated by hand and will give shape to the bottom of the vessel. With a light and skillful touch, coils of clay form the rest of the vessel until it's fully closed. Great care is taken to make sure that the clay wall is an even thickness and that there are no air bubbles in the clay which could cause the vessel to crack during the firing process. To form the pouring spouts, thin layers of clay are rolled around a wooden spindle. The vessel is then perforated with a wooden form, and each spout is carefully inserted. One spout is used for pouring, while the second allows air to escape. In vessels with only one pouring spout, a small air hole is made in the clay. Because most of the stress on the completed vessel will be at the base of the spouts, they are reinforced with extra clay for strength. When the spouts are just right, a small bridge-shaped handle is formed and connects and supports them. When the vessel is completely formed, it's carefully removed from the container. One of the characteristics of Nazca pottery is the rounded bottom, a shape that predates the use of flat tables. Because the pottery made by Andres Benevideo so closely resembles the work of his ancestors, the government of Peru requires him to make an identifying mark on the bottom of his work to distinguish it from the originals. Wood and shell tools are used for the next step in creating the completed vessel. The entire surface is scraped until it's completely smooth. Then, 2 layers of a protective clay and water undercoating are applied to seal the clay. After each layer is applied, the vessel is placed in the hot Nazca sun until the coating is completely absorbed. In creating this bird-shaped vessel, as with all of the Nazca pottery, after the protective coating is absorbed, the first layer of slip or color is applied. The color is actually a thin wash of clay containing minerals that become different colors when fired in the kiln. All of the many colors painted onto the pottery are ground from specialized minerals that Andres brings to his workshop from the plains of Nazca. The first layer of paint is slowly dried in the sun. Depending on the design of the individual ceramic, the entire vessel might be completely covered with several layers of the same color. Then the painting of the figures can begin. The brushes used to paint the vessels are handmade. The handles are made of wood, and the bristles, which are usually soft and flexible, are cut from the hair of newborn infants. The designs painted on the vessels are careful reproductions of pottery from another era. The birds and fish painted here are identical to the creatures that were believed to be gods in the religion of the ancient Nazcas. Here, a painted trophy head is a reminder of the practice of head hunting, which was so much a part of the Nazcan way of life. After the basic design has been painted on the vessel, Andres creates the delicate black outlines. These lines are one of the special characteristics often seen on Nazca pottery. The process of firing the pottery begins with first preparing the fuel for the kiln. Charcoals are set on fire, and while they become red hot, the leather-hard vessels that have been dried in the sun are placed on the bottom of a circular kiln made of clay bricks. Slabs of baked clay are placed right on top of the pottery to protect it from the charcoals, but also permit oxygen to freely combine with the clay during the firing process. The first pieces of charcoal placed in the kiln are still cold. They serve to absorb some of the heat from the hot charcoals placed on top of them. In this way, the heat from the coals can be slowly and evenly distributed to the pottery on the bottom of the kiln. After about 12 hours of baking in the kiln, the modern pottery of Andres Benevideo, in the style of his ancestors, is almost complete. In the final steps of creating his work, he produces a polished surface by rubbing smooth stones on his face, and then, using the oil from his skin, rubs the stones on the pottery. The polished surface is often mistaken for a glaze. However, glazes were unknown to the ancient Nazcans. Only a few potters are left to carry on the Nazca tradition. To our knowledge, only the males of certain families were ever taught the skills of the potter. Andres Benevideo has 3 daughters, but no sons. His youngest has shown some interest in making the pottery, and if one day she learns her father's art, she might be the first woman potter in more than 1,000 years of Nazca tradition and the last potter of a vanished civilization. We don't have all the answers about the ancient Nazca people. We're not even sure what they looked like. We don't know all the meanings and the designs on Nazca pottery, or why they created giant drawings in the sand. We don't know how ancient Peruvians in the same region created some of the world's most intricate and beautiful tapestries, often using as many as 500 threads in 1 inch of fabric. What we do know is that by looking back through time at the history of mankind, at the achievements and even at the mistakes that ancient people have made, we can often discover great truths about ourselves. and perhaps even help determine the quality of our own futures. And we'll share that knowledge of discovery with you on future programs about the vanished civilizations of the Earth.
This program was produced and licensed by International Video Projects Incorporated of Lakeland, Florida. For additional information about this program and other programs we offer, please write International Video Projects, 6700 South Florida Avenue, Suite 28, Lakeland, Florida, 33813-3312, or call toll-free 800-852-0662. Our collection of programs may also be reviewed on our website, www.videoprojects.tv. Thanks for watching.